Hi, I'm Don from DonDronesOn. Just a quick video today to give you an update on the Drone Pilot Association of Canada's position paper on the changes proposed for the Canadian RPAS regulations. Let's dive right in. Well, right after some wee roll, of course. So first of all, a huge thank you to everyone who provided feedback on our draft position paper and on my video covering the highlights. I received somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 different comments. I replied to as many as I could. If I didn't reply, rest assured, I did still read it. I read every one of them, including the ones that came in after the weekend deadline. Fortunately, the vast majority of you simply voiced your support for the DPAC position. Thank you. And equally fortunately, those who didn't agree usually offered really good, clear suggestions for improvement. And again, thank you. Based on that feedback, we've made some major improvements to the document. We've published the final version on the DPAC webpage and have submitted it to Transport Canada. And based upon comments at a recent Q&A session, TC appreciates the detail and context in the document. That's good. We made a lot of wording changes to make the final submission more professional. Thank you, Sean. And beefed it up a bit to be more compelling. But here are the three main changes. First of all, on the extended VLOS rule, we agreed with you guys. There's really no need for the visual observer to have even their basic drone license. So our proposal now states that the visual observer just needs to be trained on the task at hand. And we don't mean a 3-day training course, just a clear briefing on the mission plan, what to look for, and what to do. In fact, there's already a procedure loaded into the Drone Pilot Canada app that can serve as a good starting point. Without the requirement for the spotter to be a drone pilot, along with our other recommendations, the proposed rule is much more sensible and practical. The next major update was related to our proposal for FPV flights. And wow, there were a lot of comments on that topic. But kudos go to Bruce Simpson, aka XJet, who cut through all the chaff and simply recommended we go non-prescriptive. And that's the direction we took in the end. Now, I've used the terms prescriptive and non-prescriptive a lot when talking about rules and regulations, but I've never really explained what I meant. So a quick aside. Let's suppose late in the evening you discover you're out of eggs and your spouse suggests you go to the store to get some for the morning. If he or she is being prescriptive, the request will include the exact time to go, what store to go to, how to get there, which brand of eggs, how to check the eggs to ensure they're not cracked or stale, and the price to pay. On the other hand, if you are a fully certified egg shopper that your spouse actually respects, the task may be simply pop down to the store and hurry back with a suggestive look. The difference, aside from the suggestive look, is that in the non-prescriptive case, you, the egg shopper, are fully accountable for the outcome and for ensuring all the correct factors are taken into account, including things that maybe the prescriptive spouse didn't even think of, like which vehicle has enough gas and the sale at the other store or whatever else. The principles and responsibility for making good decisions are built into the egg shopper, well, I call it certification. Then you don't need to be prescriptive about how to carry out every single part of the task. The responsibility for coming back with suitable eggs in a timely manner, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, is entirely yours. The don't do anything stupid rule is a perfect example of a good non-prescriptive rule. It states the objective. Don't do anything reckless or negligent that would endanger aviation safety or the safety of any person. And our final proposal for FPV flight was along the same lines. A visual observer is not required when flying FPV unless the safety of bystanders or third-party property is at risk. And then the AIM document would be revised to include situations where a spotter would actually be beneficial to safety. Some good guidelines and best practices to consider. Non-prescriptive and 100% of the responsibility for a safe flight would be on the pilot, where it should be. The third major area of change is around advertised events. And again, there was a lot of input and comments, mostly because we, well, to be frank, hadn't really done a great job explaining what we had in mind. Here again, we've attempted to be non-prescriptive and followed the principle of pushing responsibility and accountability down to the pilot and the local decision makers. Some person in an office 1,000 kilometers away should not be demanding mounds of paperwork and judging the safety of a particular flight. Our proposal states that an SFOC should not be required for advertised events. Instead, two things. One, the RPA pilot and aircraft must be qualified for operating in the applicable proximity to bystanders. And secondly, the event coordinator should be the single point of contact for defining any specific rules for the event. The boundaries, where and how the RPA can be used within those boundaries, stay well clear of the stage, for example. Any other event-specific restrictions, how to coordinate with police or event security, and identifying any need for liability insurance. In all other respects, the drone pilot is the one responsible for ensuring a safe flight at the event. Simple, practical, and sensible. So these were the three biggest changes we made in the position paper. I encourage you to read the complete final document on the DPAC website, right here. It's on the resource page under references, and of course there's a link in the description. Feel free to use it as an inspiration for your own comments to Transport Canada, keeping in mind that it is always best to use your own words if you want the review team to actually read your comments. The deadline for providing feedback is fast approaching, September 22nd. Thanks again for all your support and suggestions. Now let's enjoy 30 seconds of some lovely we-roll from our drone community. We roll. B-roll with the spirit of we.